Welcome to our channel, Book by Book. Today we are diving into a really critical book for our times. It's Cal Newport's 2019 work, Digital Minimalism, Choosing a Focused Life in a Noisy World. And this isn't just another guide on how to quit social media. It's much deeper than that. It's more of a philosophical manifesto for taking back control of your attention.
It really is. And it's a manifesto we desperately need.
Yeah.
Newport, who a lot of you will know from his work on deep work, he basically frames this whole book around a huge societal crisis, a crisis of focus. I mean, if you feel constantly scattered, tired, but, somehow always glued to your device, you're not alone. You're actually part of this system.
It's so interesting you bring up deep work right away, because for anyone who hasn't read it, Newport defines that as focused, uninterrupted effort on a cognitively demanding task. And digital minimalism is, in a way, the essential first step to even being able to do deep work.
Exactly. You can't. You can't do one without the other. You can't perform deep work if your attention is being shattered into a million tiny pieces all day.
And that shattering, it's not just a feeling, is it? It's measurable.
Oh, completely. The data is, frankly, pretty startling. We're looking at studies showing the average person checks their phone almost 100 times a day, every single day.
100 times. That's a constant stream of tiny interruptions. It just grinds down your ability to concentrate.
And that pattern, it's moved way beyond just being a habit. It's a compulsion. It creates what Newport calls digital anxiety.
Digital anxiety, that's a perfect term for it. It's that low-level, constant hum of restlessness. You feel overstimulated, but also disconnected from your own mind.
And the root of the problem, which Newport just lays out so clearly, is that our relationship with all this tech has been completely accidental. It's been unconscious.
Right. Nobody chose to check their phone 100 times a day.
Nobody. We were led there. We were guided by systems that are engineered from the ground up to exploit our psychological vulnerabilities, our focus, our attention. That's the product they're selling.
Which brings us to the big idea of the book, the philosophical shift, the real aha moment. If the technology is built to exploit us, then we need a counter-philosophy to fight back. So what's Newport's big declaration of independence?
It's so simple but so powerful. It's the insistence that our digital tools must serve our values, not the other way around.
The tool should be the servant, not the master.
Precisely.
That's the absolute core of digital minimalism. It's about stopping the reaction and starting to act with intention, with clarity, with purpose. We're not just trying to get less screen time for the sake of it.
No.
We're trying to reclaim our attention, which really is the currency of modern life. I mean, if you can't control where your attention goes, you can't control your life. You can't control your creativity or your happiness.
And that's our mission here at Book by Book. We're going to walk you through that philosophy, the whole three-step framework he calls the digital declutter, and then all the specific actionable things you can do to make it happen. This is about making a real, lasting change.
Not just downloading another productivity app. Okay, so let's start at the beginning with the foundation. This is lesson 1, the philosophical foundation, choosing value over convenience. Like you said, this isn't just about deleting a few apps, it's a whole mindset shift.
Absolutely. And to do that, we have to be really clear on what digital minimalism actually is. Newport gives a very precise definition.
What is it?
He calls it a philosophy of technology use in which you focus your online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value.
I love the wording there. Small number and optimized activities. Because the default for most people is just abundance, download everything, join every platform, just in case.
Just in case, yeah. And that's how we fall right into what he calls the convenience trap.
The convenience trap. Tell us about that.
People adopt tools passively. They don't sit down and think, does TikTok truly align with my deepest values and life goals? No. They adopt it because it's there. It's convenient, it's popular, it promises some easy connection.
So convenience is like a Trojan horse. It looks like a gift.
That's a great way to put it. It slips into your life offering some small benefit, seeing a cousin's photos instantly. But hidden inside is the real cost.
Which is?
The compulsive behavior, the endless scrolling, the fragmented attention, and most importantly, the displacement of things that are actually meaningful, like reading a book or having a focused conversation with your partner.
Right. The path of least resistance becomes the path of least fulfillment. It's just easier to check your phone than it is to start a difficult project or just be quiet for a minute.
Exactly. So the core discipline, the first line of defense for a digital minimalist, is intentionality. And Newport gives us 3 questions. 3 non-negotiable questions you have to ask about every single digital tool in your life.
Okay, let's go through them. What's the first one?
First, Does this tool support something I deeply value? Not just a little, but deeply.
Okay, and if the answer is yes, then what?
Then you go to question 2, which is the big hurdle. Is it the best way to support that value?
Ah, that's the tricky one. Because a tool can do something, but that doesn't mean it's the best tool for the job.
Precisely. And then the third question, the one most people never even think to ask. What are its unintended costs? What's the hidden price tag? The fragmentation, the anxiety, the lost time.
Applying those three questions really does shift you from being a passive consumer to an active curator of your digital life.
It does. Let's use the example from the book, The Writer Who Uses Instagram. It makes it really clear.
Okay, so the writer's initial justification is something like, I value creativity and Instagram helps me stay inspired and connect with other writers. That's their value statement.
Right, it sounds reasonable. But then they apply the other 2 questions and the whole story just falls apart.
How so?
Well, they realize that 90% of their time on the app is just mindless scrolling.
Yeah.
Totally irrelevant to their actual craft. So is it the best way to find inspiration?
Absolutely not. The platform's designed for consumption, not deep creative thought.
And the unintended costs are huge. It's not just the lost hours. It's the constant mental context switching. They can never get into a state of deep focus on their writing because part of their brain is always waiting for the next notification, the next like.
So the fragmented attention directly leads to worse creative output.
Exactly. And that forces the minimalist replacement. The solution isn't just to stop using Instagram and stare at a wall.
No, you have to replace it with something better.
Something of high quality. Curated art books. Long walks without a phone. Dedicated, focused research. You choose the tool that maximizes the value and minimizes the cost, not the one that's just the most convenient.
This all connects back to a much older philosophy, doesn't it? He talks about people like Thoreau.
He does. Digital minimalism isn't really a new idea. It's just applying old wisdom to our new digital clutter. When Thoreau went to Walden Pond, he's rejecting the clutter of his time to focus on what was essential.
And Newport's just saying our clutter is now in our pockets. Every app, every notification, it's a piece of mental clutter. It has a hidden weight.
A hidden mental weight that costs you peace and focus. And you can't do deep, meaningful work if you're carrying all that weight. As the book says, where we want to be cautious is when convenience becomes the deciding factor. You have to prioritize intention over ease.
Okay, so moving from the why to the how, we get to what is probably the most famous part of the book. This is lesson 2. The core framework, the 30-day digital declutter.
And we have to be really clear about this. This is not a gentle digital detox. It's a full system reset. It has to be.
Why? Why so extreme?
Because Newport argues you can't rationally decide what technology you value while you're still caught in its addictive loop. You have to break the cycle completely to get any clarity.
And why 30 days? A weekend isn't enough.
A weekend is just a pause. You go right back to your old habits on Monday. 30 days is long enough to actually break the compulsive neurological pathways. And just as importantly, it's long enough for your brain to decompress and rediscover what a meaningful offline life feels like.
Okay, so walk us through the process. It's in 3 phases, right? What's the first one?
The first is the elimination phase. And the rule is simple and, well, brutal. For 30 days, you remove all optional digital technologies from your life.
All of them. What does that include?
Everything. All social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, entertainment apps, non-essential websites you check out of habit, like news sites or sports scores, even online shopping apps.
Wow. So what's left?
Only what is absolutely essential for your work or your basic life functions. Things like your GPS or specific communication tool your job requires you to use. That's it.
That sounds incredibly difficult, but I get the logic. You have to clear the space. But just clearing the space isn't enough, right? That leads to the next phase.
Exactly. That's the rediscovery phase. This is crucial. The goal is not to be bored for 30 days. The goal is to actively and intentionally fill that new space.
With what?
With high-quality offline life. You commit to hobbies you've been putting off, you read challenging books, you invest in real face-to-face conversations, you seek out solitude, you experience actual rest, not just scrolling to decompress.
So you're basically proving to yourself that life without constant digital input is not only possible, but it's actually better.
You are. You're replacing low-quality consumption with high-quality creation and connection. And that leads to the final critical step at the end of the 30 days.
The reintroduction phase.
Right. This is what makes it so different from a simple detox. You don't just turn everything back on. You vet every single tool before you let it back into your life.
And the standards have to be incredibly high.
Incredibly high. A tool only comes back if you can clearly explain how it supports a core value. Andy, you have to define strict rules for how you'll use it. That's the optimization part.
Can you give an example?
Sure. You might say, I will use Instagram, but only on my desktop computer for 15 minutes every Friday, specifically to showcase my professional photography. If you can't define the purpose and the rules, the app stays gone.
You know, a lot of people might say this is overkill. Why not just try to cut back gradually? Use a little willpower.
Because that almost never works.
Right.
And that's where we have to talk about algorithmic manipulation.
Right.
When you try to use willpower, you're pitting your very finite mental energy against teams of PhDs and billions of dollars of engineering designed specifically to break your willpower.
It's not a fair fight.
Not at all. These platforms use things like intermittent reinforcement variable rewards. It's the exact same psychological mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. You're fighting a slot machine in your pocket.
So the 30-day declutter works because it just unplugs you from the machine. It breaks the spell.
It's like rebooting a crashed computer. It disrupts the cycle. And once that digital fog lifts, you can finally see clearly which habits were actually serving you and which were just controlling you.
The book has some great real-life examples of this. There's the story of the young professional who did the declutter.
Right. He cut out 4 big apps: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat. And he consciously filled that time with things that required focus. He started running again, he journaled, he started cooking complex meals.
Things that provide real satisfaction, not just a quick dopamine hit.
Exactly. And at the end of the 30 days, he didn't feel like he was missing anything. He felt liberated. He realized 3 of those 4 apps added 0 value to his life.
Did he bring any of them back?
Only 1. He brought back YouTube, but with very strict rules. He could only watch specific educational videos that he planned to watch ahead of time, and only on his desktop, never on his phone.
And the result?
His productivity went through the roof, and his overall anxiety went way down. He shifted from impulsive use to deliberate intentional use, and he found that intentionality is just deeply satisfying.
So once you've done the declutter and turned off all that digital noise, you're left with silence.
Yeah.
And you have to confront what happens in that silence. Which brings us to lesson 3, the hidden danger solitude deprivation.
This might be the most important and most overlooked part of the whole book. Newport argues that solitude is absolutely essential for a healthy mind, but our phones have systematically destroyed it.
We should probably define what he means by solitude. It's not just about being physically alone in a room.
No, not at all. For Newport, solitude is about being alone with your thoughts, free from input from other minds. It's that internal quiet space where you can actually process information, solve problems, and regulate your emotions.
And the modern world seems almost designed to eliminate every single pocket of that quiet space. I mean, think about it. Waiting in line at the coffee shop, the 5-minute walk to your car, sitting on the bus.
Every single one of those moments that used to be a natural opportunity for your mind to just wander and process, we now feel reflexively by pulling out our phones.
What's the cost of that? What happens when we never let our minds wander?
We block what you could call mental digestion. Our brains can't process background thoughts, connect ideas, or work through emotions. We stay on the surface of everything. We become reactive and anxious.
He has a great analogy for this, doesn't he? The mind as a lake.
He does. The mind is like a lake. And if it's constantly being agitated by new inputs, notifications, texts, news alerts, the water is choppy and you can't see what's underneath.
But solitude.
Solitude is what stills the water. It allows you to finally see below the surface, to understand your real motivations, your anxieties, your needs. Without that stillness, we just bounce from one external stimulus to the next.
So a big part of digital minimalism is actively engineering solitude back into your daily life. Taking a walk without your phone, sitting quietly for 10 minutes.
It's mandatory, because if you can't tolerate being alone with your own thoughts, you can't do deep work. You can't even figure out what you truly value in the first place.
And this connects directly to the next big lesson, because once you've cleared out all the low-quality noise, you have this void, and you have to fill it. That's lesson 4, the importance of high-quality leisure.
This is the other half of the equation. Decluttering creates a vacuum.
Yeah.
And if you don't intentionally fill that vacuum with something genuinely satisfying, you will always go back to the easiest escape.
Which is the phone.
Which is always the phone. It's the digital junk food.
Okay, let's break down this idea of high-quality versus low-quality leisure. That's a key distinction in the book.
It is. Low-quality leisure is passive consumption. It takes almost no effort and gives you a quick, cheap dopamine hit. Think endless scrolling on social media, binge watching a show you don't even really like.
The mental equivalent of eating a whole bag of potato chips. It feels good for a second, but then you just feel empty and drained.
Exactly. It has zero nutritional value. High-quality leisure is the opposite. It's active. It's about creation and engagement.
Like what?
Learning a new skill, playing an instrument, engaging in a challenging physical activity, reading a difficult book, having a deep conversation. These things require effort, but they produce a deep, lasting satisfaction, a sense of mastery.
Newport puts a really big emphasis on craftsmanship, on doing things with your hands, woodworking, gardening, things like that. Why is that physical component so important?
Because so much of our modern work life is abstract. We're just manipulating symbols on a screen all day. Our brains are hardwired for tangible feedback. When you build a table, or master a new recipe, or learn a new song on the guitar, you get concrete, undeniable proof that your effort created something real. That kind of satisfaction is powerful enough to compete with the cheap thrills of the algorithmic feed.
So the bottom line is, if you don't build a compelling, interesting, satisfying life outside your phone,
The phone will always win. It will always be the easiest, most convenient escape. You have to make your analog life better, more interesting. And as he says, solitude is not about being alone. It's about what happens when you're alone with your thoughts. And what happens is you figure out what a life worth living actually looks like.
okay, let's shift from our inner world to our outer world, how we connect with others and how we control our devices. This brings us to lesson 5, strengthening real relationships.
Right, and this is about confronting the great paradox of social media. It promises connection, but what it often delivers is just superficial contact.
You end up with hundreds of these weak ties, right? Likes, quick comments, short texts. It gives you the illusion of a social life without the actual substance.
Exactly. It's the difference between having 500 Facebook friends and having 3 people you can actually call in a crisis. Real human connection needs investment. It needs your time, your full presence. It needs vulnerability.
Things that you just can't get from a text message.
You can't. Asynchronous communication, texts, DMs, it's very low bandwidth. You lose all the nuance. The tone of voice, the body language, the shared experience of being in the same space. It's great for logistics, but it's terrible for building deep intimacy.
So what's the minimalist approach to fixing this?
It's about consciously choosing higher bandwidth communication, prioritizing it. Instead of a long, drawn-out text conversation, pick up the phone. Schedule regular in-person meetups. Have device-free dinners where you're actually present with the people you're with.
The cotton candy analogy you mentioned earlier fits perfectly here. Digital communication is the cotton candy.
It is. It's sweet, it's easy, but it's empty calories.
Yeah.
A real conversation, a shared meal, that's the nourishing food that actually sustains you.
And this idea of taking control extends beyond just our communication. It's about our relationship with the device itself. That's lesson 6. Technology as a tool, not a master.
This is where it gets very practical. The goal is to end what he calls digital servitude. You have to be the one who decides when, where, how, and why you use your technology, not the other way around.
And if your phone is just sitting there blinking and buzzing at you all day, it's definitely the master. It's demanding your attention on its schedule.
Absolutely. So the first, most important tactic is to kill all non-essential notifications. Right now, if an app isn't critical for your work or a family emergency, it should not be allowed to interrupt you, period.
That one step alone is life-changing for most people. What are some of the other key control tactics?
Scheduled phone checks. This is huge. Instead of constantly reacting, you decide on specific times during the day, maybe 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. when you'll check your messages and social media. You batch it. You treat it like a task.
And what about using single-purpose devices? That feels very minimalist.
It is. It's about reducing the power of your smartphone. Get a real alarm clock so your phone isn't the first and last thing you see every day. If you like to read, use an e-reader that can't also access the entire internet.
And creating screen-free zones.
Non-negotiable. The dining table and the bedroom, at a minimum, must be protected spaces. They're for conversation, connection, rest, and sleep. Bringing a device into those spaces degrades their purpose.
You have to set boundaries, like you would with anything else.
Like a powerful tool. A knife is useful, but you wouldn't let it run your life. You control it. You set the rules. And Newport's point is clear. You cannot expect to improve your relationship with technology if you don't take control of it. It's entirely up to you.
So we've covered the philosophy, the reset, and the boundaries. And all of this leads to the final big payoff. Lesson 7. The paradox of minimalism subtraction leads to maximization.
This is the reward for all that hard work. It feels restrictive at first, but what you gain is so much more than what you give up. By intentionally subtracting the noise, you gain.
Well,
You gain everything that matters.
more time, more focus, mental clarity.
Creative energy, a sense of peace. Your mind goes from being this cluttered, messy desk to a clean, organized workspace. You finally have the space to focus on the one or two projects that are truly important.
The signal finally comes through once you get rid of the noise.
And the results people report are incredible. They finish that novel they've been putting off for years, they read dozens of books in a year, they sleep better, their anxiety goes down, and their ability to focus in every area of their life improves dramatically.
It's the ultimate counterintuitive truth. In a world obsessed with more and more, minimalism shows us that the path to abundance is actually through scarcity.
Well said. So, to make sure everyone listening has a whole blueprint, let's do a quick recap of the main lessons.
Okay, lesson 1. Always choose value over convenience. Be intentional.
Lesson 2. Execute the 30-day digital declutter. Do the full reset. It's non-negotiable.
Lesson 3. Solitude is essential for mental health. You have to make space to be alone with your thoughts.
Lesson 4. Replace passive scrolling with high-quality leisure. Build a compelling offline life.
Lesson 5. Prioritize real relationships and presence. Choose deep connection over shallow contact.
And Lesson 6. Make technology a tool, not a master. Set firm boundaries and take control.
And finally, for everyone listening who wants to start today, let's run through the 10 practical, actionable steps from the book.
Okay, let's do it. Number 1, commit to that 30-day digital declutter. That's the foundation.
Number 2, turn off all non-essential notifications. You can do this right after you finish listening.
Number 3, schedule your technology use. Pick specific times to check things instead of reacting all day.
Number 4, create device-free zones. Protect your bedroom and your dinner table.
Number 5, define a technology purpose statement for every single tool you decide to let back into your life. Know why you're using it.
Number 6, actively replace digital leisure with high-quality alternatives. Join that class, start that hobby.
Number 7, practice solitude daily. Take a walk without your phone just for 15 minutes.
Number 8, after the declutter, only reintroduce value-driven apps and set strict rules for how you'll use them.
Number 9, use tools intentionally. A great trick is to only use social media on a desktop computer, which makes it a deliberate act, not an impulse.
And last one, number 10, have real conversations. Default to calling someone or meeting them in person, not just endless texting. Digital minimalism really is an essential guide for our time. It's a reminder that the goal isn't just to survive technology, but to use it selectively to live a more focused, present, and meaningful life.
And that brings us to our final thought. The real benefit here isn't just the hours you get back. It's the mental capacity you free up to do that deep work we talked about at the beginning. So ask yourself this. If you really are checking your phone 100 times a day, what huge, important, long-delayed project could you finally start and finish if you reclaimed all that fractured attention?
That's a powerful question. We hope this summary has given you the clarity and the tools to start reclaiming that attention for yourself.
It really is within your control.
And on behalf of everyone here at Book by Book, we request that you subscribe to this channel for more such helpful book summaries, share it with others, and like it, which will motivate the team to keep bringing the best book summaries. We'll see you next time.